call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion that the agenda for the February 12th Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted with the addition of a closed meeting session regarding the Multiplex Steering Committee update? The mayor will make that motion. All those in favor?
No, it wasn't.
Then I'm opposed.
Can I get a motion that the minutes of the January 22nd, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted?
I was opposed, there was 6 in favor.
Oh, sorry. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you. Moving on.
Carry on.
Can I get a motion that the minutes of the January 22nd, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted as presented? Councillor Sorensen makes that motion. All those in favor? Carried. All right, moving on to infrastructure and planning, the RCMP Centennial Park Gallery Museum. Mr. Verhege, that you're presenting to us.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a follow-up report from a request for information to look at different options on how to address different parking issues located in the Centennial Park area. In review of that matter, staff do support the previous recommendation that the costs and difficulties of addressing parking in the area are not consistent with the level of impact the area is seeing. However, we have reviewed different opportunities. The proposed expansion of an additional parking area is close to $550,000 based on actual costs within the proposed area. We've looked at dealing with potentially partnering with some of the companies that said that were identified, including the mine and Shell. Shell has said that their employees will no longer be parking in that area and do not wish to partner in that kind of an expense. And the mine has said that they don't control where their employees park and have not provided a particular statement on behalf of the company. With that, we have provided a detailed report from Alan Schramm, the Director of Protective Services, should you seek to go through administrative measures of addressing parking by having a bylaw ticketing and other measures in place. Otherwise, staff's recommendation is that this is taken for information and no further actions taken at this time.
Okay. We'll open it up. Councillor Chenard.
I would have to agree with the staff's recommendation because the parking that is used by the general public is primarily Monday to Friday during the week, and on weekends is when we would need more parking, Rotary Sundays, Canada, etc. So I would have to agree with your comments.
Councillor Belli.
Through the chair, there, on your diagram you had up here with the yellow, whatever you want to call it on there. On the left-hand side, when you're looking at it to the west there's a great big berm there. And on the other side of the berm is flat. And could we not maybe take a look at taking that grass out of there and putting that into parking? Because nobody stands on the other side. They just walk up, sit on the berm, they look down at the amphitheater and everything else and stuff like that. And there's a light pole there. I know we can easily get rid of a light pole. Was there any thought of maybe putting angle parking in there, which would probably maybe give us another 20, 25 more stalls, and it wouldn't wreck our park at all?
Just up there, right there, yeah.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Further
come
down.
back down. Yeah, and it runs up to the road going into the theater. There's a great big berm there. The berm's probably sitting about 10 feet in the air, and that's just green space there with a lighting standard on there or whatever. And that would give us maybe 20 more parking stalls or something like that. I don't know. Instead of wrecking anything else in the park.
Madam Chairman, through to Councillor Bevan. It might be overestimating the amount of parking you actually would attain from that. This entire parking area, efficiently used and maximized, is about 32 stalls. So getting 25 stalls in here without taking over this entire area is very, very unlikely. You would be looking at a similar area if we were to just take this area here and just do angle parking. That would be probably close to, I would say maybe you could get 12, but that would be a high number based on the actual space you have with the parking parameters we have, which would be to allow for trucks, not to extend into the sidewalk and other areas there.
Well, there's no sidewalk on that side except for going into the theater there, and that's it. But you know what I mean? It's just something to look at if help alleviate the problem somehow. I don't know. We wouldn't go on this for the next 20 years.
Councillor Wilkinson?
Through the chair, I've always said that I like that idea of just taking it out on that side of the berm all the way up. I guess if Shell aren't parking anymore, that makes a difference, because we used to have about 15 vehicles from them parking, which I thought could have just parked across there. But that is a tourist visitors information center. And oftentimes when I drive there in the daytime, the parking lot is too crowded, for instance, for people with motorhomes to get in there. That's why I thought it was sort of essential to get other parking and get day-use people moved out, because people traveling motorhomes travel at any time through the week.
Anyone else? Mayor Sarah?
Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Verhage. This has been as you know, an ongoing issue, and I'm challenged by the comments of my mates, because I know where they're parking now, and they're all parking there. So that's a coordinated thing, but they are no longer parking there, because I know they've taken my work stalls at where I park. So so that might alleviate that concern. I'm fine with having a relook at this, maybe at the end of summer, to see where we're at, to see if with the changes of Shell and the coal mine no longer parking there, if that's going to alleviate that concern, or if we have to make further changes down the road. I certainly don't, if there isn't that change and we still see crowded parking, then we do need to do something and figure out a solution, because it's been ongoing for a long time.
Councillor Sherrick?
Actually, when we're saying parking, there's never gonna be enough parking in there, and I don't like the idea of us taking up green space for parking lots, because we could take the entire park and make it into a parking lot, and there still wouldn't be enough parking. So simply because this is our showcase of our town, I don't wanna see our green space turned into a parking lot. So, I mean, we can discourage people from parking like you did with Shell and coal mine during the day, but I wouldn't, because that is where we added this cement in, which made sense. We lost green space, but we added the cement for a purpose to drive to there, took up green space. So I don't want to see any more parking lots in our park.
Just a question, was there any consultation with the museum since the last time to just see if Shell's no longer parking there, and if the mine is staying there? Have they seen that it's been alleviated?
Madam Chairman, we have not taken additional consultation with the museum since that time.
That would just be something that I would like with this for information. I think they're the real gauge of whether or not we're having a parking issue there, and the issue is making sure that our tourism can get in there. So I think it would just be nice if we could arrange some kind of, they're telling it, or if they're regularly hearing complaints, or if it's a regular problem, just so that we're not going based on hearsay, but that there is some actual stats to say. I see Mr. Schramm.
If I may, through the chair, I did have a discussion with the museum prior to doing the report I did to you, and they did indicate that the Shell staff were no longer parking in there, and it had alleviated some of the problems.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Al. Yeah, so if we could just continue to be in communication with them to ensure that the problem is alleviated.
Phase,
Yeah, perfect. All right, moving on. That's enough. You're good?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Moving next to the town and county support for increased community airport program funding. Come on up.
And Madam Chairman, I'll have our airport manager address this matter.
The town of Edson sits on the board for the Alberta Airport Managers Association, which acts as a voice for small airports in Alberta. They try to resolve as many issues as they can on behalf of all the airports in Alberta. One of the issues raised was the lack of STIP funding available to airports for maintenance and upgrades. They've exhausted the avenues available to them with 2 meetings with the Transport Minister that came out with a negative response. And so we hope to raise the issue, or the association hopes to raise the issue with council, and with support, the council would hopefully take that to the local MLA for it to be adopted by political party and onto their agenda for the coming elections. So that's really where we're at with that.
So, Madam Chairman, at this point, we're looking for direction as to whether council would like us to put forward the letter formally to be approved for the mayor to sign, as well as for Yellowhead County to sign to their representative anyways,
Okay,
or not.
perfect. Thank you. Councillor Byer.
Through the chair to administration, is this something that, I think that letter writing is all right to go forward with, but is this something that we could bring up to AUMA and try to get a resolution? If we're not the only ones having this problem, then maybe other municipalities would be on board with supporting that resolution?
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Byer, that is absolutely always an option if council wanted to pursue a secondary avenue for advocacy on this. I'm sure that the Airport Association would appreciate any efforts like that on their behalf. Sam, perhaps you can add how many communities are affected by this?
Yeah, at the moment there's 50 members. I believe there's close to 50 small airports in Alberta. Everyone is funding almost 100% their airports. As a group, we feel $2 million to be shared amongst 50 airports is not enough. They actually specify it's for resurfacing the runway and lighting upgrades. For example, Peace River just spent $15 million redoing their runway. $2 million is a drop in the ocean, and that's to be shared. So if there's more than one airport, you're not getting the full $2 million. So yeah, I think it's an issue, you know, for the small airports. We're not eligible for the ACAP funding or federal funding, so it's the only funding available to us, and it hasn't been addressed so far.
And under that fund, I think the letter states 72 that qualify
72.
to share.
Yeah, 72. Councillor Brevin?
Yes, through the chair. I like this. I think we should do it. Our airport is vital to our area, not only for us, but anybody that county and that. We also have a tanker base out there that they fly out of too and that, and if we can't, you know, fly out of there for the tankers to get around to the different forest fires in the area, we could also be a little bit hooped in there. And I agree with Councillor Byer over there that, you know, we bring it up at our AUMA and that for sure. I think that's an excellent place to bring it up to that, and then I believe that
Could get a couple 100,000, we could do something, but 27,000 probably wouldn't change all the bulbs.
No, and exactly, and I mean, it's not that every airport's resurfacing at the same time.
Right.
You know, all we need is one airport to be resurfacing and be able to take the majority of the funding. But at the moment, it's just not, even if they took the full $2 million, it's just
It's nothing.
It's nothing. So yeah, it's an issue that you know we felt as an association, and Edson felt that we should support. So it's yeah.
No, that part is very true. Like, I mean, good work to search out the grants. The sad part is it's not.
It's just not enough. No,
It's
and
not enough money.
Yeah, and when we raised it with the Transport Minister on the 2 meetings, you know, we highlight the fact that the Medivac services and the patient transfer services link between all of these airports. For example, the one from Edson comes from Grand Prairie, Edson, and then Edmonton.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to matter. So that's why we kind of felt it was time to move more to a political avenue rather than the avenues available to us.
Councillor Wilkinson?
Through the chair. So you've met with Brian Mason already?
The association has.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I really agree with Councillor Byer that we should bring it to UMA. I believe we should write this letter, but then possibly we should have a meeting with our local MLA and say, this needs to be done, and the election's coming up.
And Madam Chairman, just for clarity, the letter would be addressed to the local MLA. One of the other advantages of going to Yellowhead County as well to sign this is they have multiple MLAs within their jurisdiction.
And I feel we personally should talk to ours to make sure he understands the significance of it.
I would just add to that, I think the suggestion of considering this for an AUMA resolution is really good feedback, and administration, we can start working on what that might look like. So.
And just so you know, we are the association has put this out to all the airports, so they can all approach their individual councils as well. So
Mayor Sarah?
Yeah, and I totally agree with the AMA resolution. I think this is important. Our airport is so vital to our community, and there's a huge economic impact that we can have with it if we had the appropriate funds, and we have to make sure it remains viable. I would suggest that not only to our local MLA, but to all political parties, so they understand this issue, because we don't know what's going to happen after the election. So if we can get some commitments before that election from some of the parties, that'd be great.
Okay. Who knows? I would just say, agree with what everyone else has said. I think it should go to AMA and fully support putting the letter forward.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
It needs to be brought to our attention, because
Yeah.
some of these things we don't know.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. She's a fast one tonight. Questions from the media and public regarding items from this committee of the whole. You don't have any questions?
I do not.
Okay.
Youth council was longer. You got-
Right.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to go in camera, please? Counselor Chenard, all those in favor?
Just to
Motion for adjournment. Counselor Wilkinson, all those in favor? Motion carried.